Hello, this is Raghav Stay. Have you heard of Indian American exceptionalism? What is it? How does it compare with its well known, famous senior cousin, that's American exceptionalism? So I thought I'll ask our universe's latest knowledge guru, ChatGPT, to evocatively describe American exceptionalism. And this is what ChatGPT had to say: the belief that the US is unique, superior, and has a special destiny to lead the world in democracy, freedom, and innovation. It emerged from the country's revolutionary beginnings, manifest destiny, and global influence through wars, diplomacy, and capitalism. Wow. Wow, ChatGPT, that's succinct and substantial. You really are artificially intelligent. I then asked ChatGPT to define Indian American exceptionalism. And that's what ChatGPT had to say: the perception that Indian Americans as a group are uniquely successful in education, business, and professional fields. They're often seen as a model minority due to their achievements. Uh, they focus on elite influence in American society, and they do this via CEOs, doctors, engineers, politicians, and the ability to bridge the US and India diplomatically, economically, and culturally. Honestly, I couldn't have done it better than the way Chat GPT has explained it to all of us. Now, having been a frequent and, yes, admiring visitor to America over the last 4 decades, I have seen Indian American exceptionalism. I've seen it evolve from anonymity and today to near chauvinism. You know, when I first landed in America in 1983, I was often asked, "Are you from Pakistan?" You know, as if India did not exist in America's consciousness. It was almost obliterated by our estranged neighbor. But slowly, as India decoupled from the Soviet Union, whose disintegration actually accelerated this process, and on the other hand, Pakistan deteriorated into a relatively inconsequential, somewhat of a rogue nation, that's when we acquired heft and lucre in the promised land. And once we threw open our vast markets and industry to the mighty American dollar in the 1990s, India became the go to nation for American investors. Then, egged on by Prime Ministers Narasimha Rao, Atal Bihari Vajpayee, and Manmohan Singh, all three of them, you know, they I would say very boldly, they sort of jettisoned India's resistance to a Western embrace. And under their leadership, India and America became strategic nuclear, military, and commercial allies. It was actually a betrothal that was made in heaven. You know, that exponentially multiplied the clout of Indian Americans. The world watched in bewilderment as powerful and wealthy Indians took control at, storied all American corporations like Google, Microsoft, Pepsi, Citibank, Adobe, IBM. All of them were led by Indians, Indian Americans. And because of that, a newly minted Indian American exceptionalism was, conquering one peak after another. It was unstoppable. And this sort of this crescendo became a howl under Prime Minister Modi from 2014 onwards. You know, he whipped up a frenzy, a vocal, assertive nationalism, bolstered by what he would call the supremacy of Hinduism. And finally, this was all sweetened by the allure of techno modern aspirations. The undertone was unmistakably majoritarian and triumphal. It resonated with the Republican politics of Donald Trump in 2016. So now this created a sort of a seminal cleavage, I would call it a seminal division among Indian Americans, many of whom, they abandoned Democrats and became card-carrying Republicans. I naively, I think in retrospect, naively thought that Kamala Harris's campaign would reignite the community in favor of the Democrats. After all, here was literally the most exceptional embodiment of Indian American exceptionalism. Our very own girl from Chennai vying to become POTUS, President of the United States. It was an incredible, an unbelievable phenomenon. Of course, it was a phenomenon of fate. What, I asked myself, could be more exceptional than that? But surprisingly, blood did not prove to be thicker than water. As conservative Hindu Indian Americans, they threw in their lot with the ultimately victorious Donald Trump. But if a week is a long time in politics, then imagine what a tumultuous 2 months of Donald Trump's mindless politics can be. I was in America a couple of weeks ago, and I saw firsthand the upheaval he has inflicted, including on our Indian American exceptionalism. If I was to say it in one word, it's gone. It's over. It's replaced by a tentativeness and uncertainty that is, let me switch to Hindi to describe that tentativeness and that uncertainty. There's a phrase in Hindi, सहमे हुए. सहमे हुए हैं. And even this time the fabled Howdy Modi event.
Howdy, my friends.
Usually happens at Madison Square Gardens. That had gone silent during the Prime Minister's visit to America. So the bluster and the swagger of Donald Trump's Indian American supporters is gone. Deportations, threat to curtail H-1B visas, denial of birthright citizenship, exaggerated fears about derecognition of naturalized citizens, anti-Indian hate speeches, racist attacks. I was astounded to see how quickly the euphoria of November 2024, when Donald Trump was elected, that had dissipated by February 2025. सहमे हुए, घबराए हुए, और बहुत ही हैरान. That's the circumstance of the Indian Americans. They are unsure, they are worried, and they're utterly surprised. This was Raghav's take.